Om Shanti. Today Baba says that you are listening to new spiritual things from the spiritual father. And up until now, we only learnt about material things from human beings who were in material consciousness. And it is only now that we learn spiritual things from the spiritual father. And today Baba is also talking about history and geography. And Baba says in this whole world there is a lot of cheating. And people have cheated you a lot. And now I am telling you the true history and true geography. And you know, for so much time, so almost since 2500 years, ever since sorrow became a part of human experience, human beings have had an inquisitiveness, and they have tried to conduct an inquiry into what is the cause of human suffering. Yes, and why are we the way we are, or why are we unhappy, or why is there sorrow in the world? And they have also tried to figure out how to change this. Yes, and this is why, and this human quest has brought us to the appreciation of the power of science, or the appreciation of the power of the body, or physical fitness, or the appreciation of the power of money or good relationships. Yes, and this is why there is this whole education about, where you should be in a position to earn money, or you should attend to your physical fitness. So there are so many people who are spreading awareness about so many things, or the importance of hygiene, or the importance of science, and the importance of technological aids to make your life easy. And still human suffering is at its highest today. So human beings have conducted a lot of inquiry into why we are sorrowful, and we have also tried to find ways to liberate ourselves from this sorrowful condition through various means and methods. But Baba says all that has not helped you even a little bit in changing the human condition. And these days there is a lot of practice of psychological inquiry into your present condition. And when you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they will ask you your history. Yes, they will always ask you your history. When were you born? Where were you born? What happened in childhood? Yes, or you go to a doctor, they will ask you whether you fell down in childhood. Yes, they will ask you, did you hurt yourself somewhere in your childhood? And then you tell them, yes, I fell on the back sometime. And then they say, do you know that it didn't hurt at that time, but it is that hurt on your back which was incurred when you were a little child, and that's the thing that's giving you a backache today. Yes, so you always want to know the history. And the history explains the present condition. Yes, people have tried to use the history to understand why the present condition is how it is. And then we want to use that information about why we are the way we are to change the way we are. Yes, you always try to do that. So even when you go to a psychologist and they dig into your history, and then you find out that, okay, my parents were not perfect, or the conditions in which I was born were not perfect, or I did not receive enough love in my childhood, or I did not receive enough guidance in my adulthood, or I was not set free and I was not allowed to explore things in my adulthood. So you figure out these things when you go to the psychologist. But then, do you know that all this inquiry again mostly results in blame game? So when you try to understand things that you can't change today, yes, you try to understand that your parents were not perfect, and then they were not perfect, and then the damage you think was caused by those parents. And then it takes, even if you are able to undo that damage by thinking about your powers and other stuff, still if you think that the cause of your sorrow is someone else or some situation which you can't change today, I don't think you will be able to heal yourself completely. Somewhere in the corner of your consciousness, you will have this feeling that I did not get perfect parents or perfect life conditions, and obviously I'm a victim and miserable because of that. Do you agree with this? So this whole theory which puts the blame on someone else is what Baba calls cheating. So you have been cheated into believing that someone or something is the cause of how you are and where you are and how you are, what's your life condition today. And even when you study history, so you are taught a subject in school, and then you are taught to blame some religion or some country who invaded your country and who put you under rule, and then you think that they are the cause of your sorrow and your problems and your present predicament. And then you breed hatred and animosity with those countries and those religions and those others who you think were responsible for your downfall. Yes, correct? So this is why, I have a big problem with history which is presented to us, which makes us revengeful and hateful and puts the blame on someone else. So just take an example of memorials of atrocities done to communities. So when you go to Amritsar, you go and see the Jallianwala Bagh, and then you remember how the Britishers fired inside that, and how Indians were killed inside that, and then you suddenly feel very hateful and revengeful with the Britishers. So what is history making you? History is not making you powerful, it is making you spiteful and revengeful. And yes, so we need to understand this whole process of what is the importance of history and geography. And when we are in body consciousness, how when we approach history as the history of the physical events that took place and how history is a chronological record of what happened physically, then that physical history mostly results in making us powerless and come to victim consciousness. So it either breeds inferiority complex or superiority complex. And sometimes, you study history in a manner in which your community or your race is put ahead of others. Yes, so you think you were the people. So maybe if I'm a Gujarati, or I belong to one state or the other, or one community or the other, and then I'm told that my community was the one who had pity on this one community, and we were the ones who let them in and supported them and this and that. And then you live with that superiority complex all your life. Or you live with the inferiority complex that you were the ones who came begging, and then it was your community who was sheltered by another community. So all these things are given to us, and I think it only messes up with our consciousness of how spiritually powerful we are. And so Baba today tells us that I am the one who tells you the spiritual history and geography. Yes, and then this is about history, and then about geography. So, so some people will say that we belong to this particular land first, and these were the people who encroached, and these are outsiders, and we are insiders, and then we are the entitled class, and these are the people who have just encroached, and so they need to go out, or they need to always live with this feeling that they are indebted to us. So all of these things are there. And then Baba says, no, children, we are all guests here. So you are a soul, your soul world is there, and this whole land, this whole world is just a stage, and there is no ownership here. So we are all guests here, and there is no ownership here, there is no entitlement here, and you don't have to come into the consciousness of I and mine here. Baba says, you call out to me and tell me that you leave that world above and come here. So there is this song in Hindi that छोड़ भी दे आकाश सिंहासन अब धरती पर आ जा रे. So we call out to God to leave the throne in the sky and come to earth, because we think that He belongs there and He has to come here to liberate us. But Baba says, what you don't realize is you also belong there. So that is my home, that is your home also, and you are also just a guest here. And all this body consciousness of I and mine, and you have to just do away with this. Know that you are a soul, you are a guest here. And delete that whole history and geography from your head, and remember that you are a soul and your home is that sweet world of silence. You only have ownership over that world, not over this. And here you are a guest, you are a temporary visitor. And Baba says, that's the geography. So that's your home, this is this stage. And then there is this subtle region also. So Baba tells us the whole geography. The geography consists of the knowledge of the home of souls, the playground of souls, which is this corporeal world, and then the subtle region which Baba creates when he comes. We will talk about the subtle region if time permits today, but let me first talk about the history and geography part. So Baba tells us the true geography. Yes, the true geography, that which is the world you belong to, and where you are standing right now is just a stage, a temporary place. And then it's not yours. You are just a guest like anybody else. And also that it's time to leave and go back home. So you should be very happy about leaving and going. Yes, once you realize which is your home, you are happy about leaving and going. And you're also happy about taking care of it as long as you're here. Yes, so this is your temporary shelter, and you are happy to take care of it until you're here, and then you're happy to go also because you're going home. And then Baba tells us about our history. And our history is, first we have to understand history means his story. The word history means his story. And when we are in body consciousness, we think his story means the story of the Islami or the Hindu or the Indian or the American. But his story, when you are soul conscious, means the story of the soul. So Baba says, you have heard the story of religions, you have heard the story of nations from a very body conscious perspective. But now you hear the story of the soul. And the story of the soul is, you were in the soul world completely at peace, and then you came down and you were completely in the realization of your spiritual power. You, the soul, are pure, peaceful, knowledgeful, loveful, blissful, powerful. And when you came down, you were in your fullness. And when you were full, everything around you was perfect. You did not need to seek and beg. You were offered everything. You were offered everything because you deserved it. So at that time, the game was, the soul was here and the 5 elements were here. So because of our higher consciousness, the 5 elements served us. Yes, so you were the master of the 5 elements because you were completely in your spiritual power. And just ask yourself, do you know the power of the soul? So when we are children, we are taught, do you know the power of money? You're taught the value of money. And I remember I was a small child, and on Deepavali, you have those silver coins, and you put it in front of the Sri Lakshmi idol, and then you leave it, and then next day you clean the space, and then you put it back in the in your almirah or something. But what I did was, I picked those coins, those silver coins, and I went to buy toffees, because I did not know that silver coins are different from usual coins, and then you don't use silver coins to buy toffees. So I went to the shopkeeper and I asked him for toffees, and I said, you take this. And then he came running to my house and he told my father, why don't you teach your child the difference between silver coins and normal coins, and she's going to take you to bankruptcy. So then I was taught the value of, a silver coin, a gold coin, and the value of a normal coin, and a 10 rupee coin, and a 5 rupee coin. So we are taught the value of what money can do. And do you understand that teaching, that education stays with you? And this is why the money in your bank makes you feel powerful here. So it's there in the bank. You don't even know whether you can use it in times of need. And with, as times are becoming more and more uncertain, I doubt whether you will be able to use your own money when you need it. But whatever it is, you feel very powerful because you realize the power of the money you have. Yes, and then you know the power of physical health. So if you have had a health checkup and the doctor has told you that you're robust and fit, then you feel powerful because you realize the power of physical health. You know the power of good relationships. You know the power of everything, but what you don't know is the power of who you are. We don't know the power that we have as a soul. And do you realize that you, the soul, in your purity, in your state of knowledge, in your state of peace and happiness, and in the state of spiritual powers are very powerful? Do you realize yourself? You realize everything around you, but do you realize yourself? And Baba says, do you realize that if you are seated in your power, then everything else will cooperate with you and offer themselves to you? Yes? Have you seen old people? So, sometimes you have grandparents and others who are very old, but they are capable of love. And you want them to live, you want them to be with you. Even if you're spending a lot of money on their treatment or anything, you want them to be with you. You offer everything for them to continue to be. Why? Because of the power of who they are, not what they have or what they can, what they do. They might not have anything, they might not do anything, but there is a power in who we are. And when you realize that power of the being, the spiritual power of love or happiness or the state of mind which is absolutely peaceful. So there are souls who come to the center and they leave their homes for 1 or 2 hours. Sometimes, they even leave their jobs. Sometimes they take a half-day leave and come to the center. They're losing money, and what are they getting? They are getting peace. So isn't peace valuable? If peace was not valuable, would you give your time and energy and money to feel peaceful? So Baba says, do you realize that as a soul you are so powerful that if you are in your spiritual power, then in Satyug what happens is all the 5 elements of nature offer their service to you. The body is your slave. The body does as you say. The 5 elements of nature do as you say. And Baba has given a very good description of what happens in Satyug. And I will take that up in detail someday. But today I will just tell you that Baba says that according to your thought, the trees will play music through the movement of their branches. And they will do it as much as you want. You want them to be fast, they do that. Slow, they do that. And then you want them to stop, they stop. The water offers, the herbal goodness. You don't have to go hunting for herbs or, just keep reading the ingredients on those Ayurveda medicine and then wondering whether this is genuine or this is a fake and whether it's going to harm you or do good to you. The water has the goodness of herbs mixed in it. And Baba says, you get everything. These days you go hunting for organic stuff. And Baba says, the Prakriti offers everything fully organic to you. And you don't go searching for it. You don't go laboring for the produce. The farmer doesn't have to go and plow the fields. You just go and spread the seeds and the nature is ready to give you. So Baba says, how does that happen? Because you are in your power, and even the five elements thank you for radiating love and peace and happiness to them. Yes, and do you understand that actually Prakriti thanks you when you are loveful and happy and peaceful? And I remember there was this sister, and she used to bring bouquets for Baba on Satguruvar. And she would bring flowers, and every Satguruvar she would come and she would look at the flowers she brought last week. And she would keep wondering. And then one day I asked her, what is it? Why do you look so keenly at the flowers you brought last week before placing the new ones? Then she said, do you know, Didi, I have a florist, and every week I buy flowers from the same florist, and I buy 2 bunches of flowers, 2 sets of flowers. I bring 1 set to the center and I take 1 set home. And the one at home withers after 3-4 days. And the one in the center stays fresh for a week. And I always wonder, what is this? I stay in the vicinity, so there is no temperature difference, or it's not like I stay in another area, so there is an atmosphere difference or temperature difference. But here the flowers last 3-4 days more than what they last at home. So the Prakriti offers according to the state of the soul. And Baba says, this is who you are. And every other soul around you also offers their love and cooperation and their good wishes according to your stage. So sometimes, there are some souls who say, we don't receive enough love and cooperation from people around us. You have to check with yourself, what are you doing to not get cooperation from others? And then Baba says that when you lost your spiritual power, why you lost your spiritual power? According to the law that an energy in motion depletes itself, you took birth after birth and you expended your spiritual energy, and slowly you started running out of it. And then you had less and less of spiritual energy available. And then because there was no filling station available, you did not have Baba, you did not have the chance to refill your spiritual petrol that you were running out of. So you just kept substituting it with, something that looked like petrol but wasn't petrol, and which was actually causing interference inside you rather than boosting you up to perform better. So those were the vices. You substituted fullness for ego, you substituted happiness for greed, you substituted love for attachment. So you started doing that. And then you became depleted and depleted and depleted until you found the filling station, which is Baba. And then Baba says, now you fill from me. And how do you fill? Just like you plug in your, you plug in the petrol tank with the, the filling pipe, and then you get your tank filled. Similarly, you connect your man and buddhi with me and sit in the awareness that you are my child taking your inheritance from me. And when you sit in this awareness that Baba is the ocean of love, filling me with love so that I become a loveful soul, filling me with purity so that I become pure. So when you do this, Baba says, you again come back to your power, and again this whole dynamic changes. Again you become a ruler from a beggar. So Baba says, there is no person, no country, no religion, nothing that you need to blame for your predicament. The only thing that is to blame is your vices. And you have to conquer your vices, and you don't conquer your vices by fighting your vices. You conquer your vices by filling yourself with spiritual power. Yes? If you want to fight fear, you fill yourself with courage, which comes from faith. You can't fight fear, because fear is the absence of faith. Fear is the absence of love. Fear is the absence of trust. If you rebuild that trust, that faith in souls, in Baba, in Drama, then you deal with fear. So Baba says, I am giving you all that you need to overcome the emptiness inside of you. And this is the true history of the soul. And this history is about acknowledging that right now, at this moment, you have everything to come back to your power. Everything is available. You have Baba who is giving you everything to come back to your power. You have the knowledge of how to fill yourself with that everything. So Baba says, I am giving you everything you need to come back to your state of self-sovereignty and your state of being the master of the world. And this is the true history. And everything around you is a result of how you are. So you cannot expect anyone to change for you so that you come back to your power. And Baba says, this is the history that makes you powerful. And every other history and geography that's being told to you is only making you miserable and making you play the victim card. And this is the only history and only geography. This is the spiritual history and spiritual geography. And Baba today says that I give you the new knowledge for the new world. And when people hear this, they say, we have not heard this before. So obviously there was no education how to become a deity before. So how could you hear this? If there was education, then people would have become deities. But now, it's only now that you have access to this education. That is why there is God, and God is capable of things that humans are not capable of. And Baba says, this is the only knowledge, this is the history and geography which I give you. There is nobody else who can give you this. And you must read the Murli very carefully today. It's a very loving, it just fills you with so much gratitude and amazement, and how Baba is telling us the truth in such a simple manner. And today Baba says that there are three worlds. So in geography, he tells us that there is the incorporeal world, there is the corporeal world where you are living here right now, and then there is the subtle world. And what is the subtle world? Baba says the subtle world is created when Baba comes. So just like, when an architect has to build a house, he first builds a model. So what Baba also does is, he creates the subtle world when he comes. And in that subtle world, each one of us has a tapasvi swarup, an angelic farishta swarup, and a deity swarup, devta swarup. So Baba has already created three forms of us in the subtle world before coming here. And do you know that when Baba came and descended into the body of Brahma Baba and started speaking, at that time knowledge was not very clear. So at that time, in order to make children understand what you have to become. So these days, you have these pictures of angels flying, and you have this description of what an angel looks like and all that stuff. But previously you didn't have this. So what Baba did was, Baba used to pull the buddhi of certain sisters like Gulzar Dadiji into the subtle region. And there they used to see the angelic form of Brahma Baba. And when Gulzar Dadiji used to have that experience, she came down. Brahma Baba used to ask, what did you see there? So she said, you were sitting there. But you were not you were a little different. She was a child. Gulzar Dadiji was a child at that time. And then she used to tell Brahma Baba, I saw you there, but you were different. Then Brahma Baba used to say, what did I look like? So she used to say, here you look ordinary, but there you looked very special. You were glowing and radiant, and you looked like you were very light and radiating lightness. And then Brahma Baba used to understand how I would look when I am an angel. And then he used to do the internal practice which would make him appear like that. And in the morning Amrit Vela today, I was thinking about this. So, I meditated for 40 minutes on I am a star radiating bliss. And I just forgot my body, and I was sitting there and seeing that I am this blissful star radiating the vibration of bliss. And then I could feel how it changes your physical appearance also. That light inside of you will shine through your face and your body. And it's not the light that people can see physically, but when somebody is in and around you, they can feel that vibration. And that's the light that Baba, but in the beginning, we didn't have so much of knowledge, and the buddhi was not so mature as to understand such deep spiritual truths. So what Baba did was, Baba used to pull the buddhi and show these images in the subtle region. And these days you see these pictures of the soul world and the pictures of the Kalpvriksha and how different religions came down and all of these things. So all of this knowledge was elucidated by pulling the buddhi in the subtle region. Okay, so Baba says that that is the subtle region which Baba creates to give us sakshatkar, give us visions of what the other worlds are like, what the future is like. And then those visions enable the buddhi to understand that and create that. So these are the three regions, Baba says, three worlds which are the geography. So you can move your buddhi to the soul world, you can move your buddhi to the subtle region where your complete form is sitting, where your angelic form is sitting. And when you move your buddhi to these powerful states of consciousness, then it fills with power, and when you come back, you radiate that power into the present state of the world. Okay, and make it better. All right, Om Shanti.